Hey everybody, it's MommaOG. I am back with another reaction. Today I have a donation request, another one from Arthur. Arthur, as always, thank you so much. He's asked me to go back and listen to The National. The song is called Your Mind Is Not Your Friend, and this also features Phoebe Bridgers. This is the official video. Now, I've heard one song from this band. It was a live version called About Today. And it's been, it was a year ago, January, so it's been quite a while. Just a couple of things before we get started. I cannot keep up with suggestions and comments, so if there is something you'd like me to react to specifically, you can click on a donation link in the description, send along the information, and I will add it to my queue. Also, I take notes during my reaction so that I don't have to pause the song a bunch of times. I may still pause it here and there, but if you see me looking down, I'm just jotting down a couple of words so I remember what I want to talk about. Given the name of this song, I'm probably going to be able to relate to this, if it's quite literal in what the title is. I've got my earbuds in. Let's go ahead and get started.
Your imagination is in an awful place. Don't believe in manifestation. Your heart will break. Don't you understand? Your mind is not your friend again. It takes you by the hand and leaves you nowhere. You feel it in your nerves. It's choking out the sun. You try in vain to be persuaded. It's nothing. Don't you understand? Your mind is not your friend again. It takes you by the hand.
Okay, so we have the main character here. And this, I guess, is representing your mind. It's surrounded with pretty flowers and oh, I won't say surrounded, it's more a disguise, it seems. And it quite literally just took him by the hand, as the lyrics say. I definitely know I'm going to be able to relate to this song. Let's back it up a little bit. Keep going.
That it's nothing. Don't you understand? Your mind is not your friend again. Takes you by the hand, leaves you nowhere. You are like a trap. You're gonna flip your lid again. Don't you understand? Your mind is not your friend. You inherited a fortune from your mother's side.
Let me rewind that part real quick.
A fortune from your mother's
You inherited the fortune of your mother's side.
Your sister didn't get it at all. She survived.
God.
Tranquilize the oceans between the poles. You're crawling under rocks and understand. Your mind is not your friend. 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 Don't you understand? Your mind is not your friend again. Takes you by the hand, leads you nowhere. You are like a child. You're gonna flip your head again. Don't you understand? Your mind is not your friend.
Oh my goodness. I've got to go through the lyrics in order to talk about some of this. Okay, so just a couple of things before I get into the lyrics. That felt extremely intimate and heavy, but in a kind of a quiet way. I am assuming that Phoebe was singing the backup with him. His delivery kind of came off as hopeful in certain spots, but mostly like worn and very internal. And her soft voice in the background kind of gave the song like a calmness, despite what the song is about, at least what I took it to be about. I think this one's kind of obvious. Some of the lyrics that I caught, which were most of them, were extremely honest when it comes to the fact that, yeah, and in some of us, our mind is not really our friend, even though we rely on it. And the visuals in this also portrayed this feeling that I got, that you know, your mind is sometimes all you have to rely on for everything and everything that surrounds you. So it's, you know, surrounded by flowers, and you try to get it to represent a good thing, but it's often works against you a lot of times, depending on, you know, from person to person, this could be different. But for me personally, I've been going through a bit of a resurfacing of my severe anxiety and PTSD from past trauma. I had it down and manageable for 8 or 9 years, and then figured out about 3 months ago that I think my dad dying 2 years ago kind of just set me off a little bit and manifested my anxiety and my ADHD in different ways, because I am older, I have evolved, and so has my anxiety and my ADHD. So it got to the point from about December of last year up until pretty recently, when I started going back to see my therapist to talk about this stuff, that my mind was kind of my worst enemy for the last 2 years, but the last 3 or 4 months, it has gotten to a unbearable level. Just automatically thinking the worst, worrying about the worst possible scenarios of absolutely everything I do, everything going on around me, despite the fact that the chances of the worst happening are slim to none. But I'm just always like hypervigilant. When things do go wrong, that's when my panic kicks in, and it just became something that I recognized. This is something I need help with, or I'm gonna, you know, something's gonna blow. It was kind of a big deal for me to kind of go back to therapy and talk to my therapist about this resurfacing. And, you know, I only recently figured out that it started when my dad died 2 years ago. You know, I just started doing things around the house. That was my ADHD. I just found it got to a point where if I didn't have something to do, you know, during the day, I was restless, agitated, anxious. It's a very long story, but I can definitely relate to the fact that I know my brain is not my friend. It can be, but sometimes it's not. So I felt like that song could have been written by me, and I'm sure many other people. But I felt this build in the song, but it wasn't so much with the music. It was more with the emotion. It just kind of started welling up in me. And there was a part there in the middle where there was this cluttering. First of all, they were playing on a playground, and him and his mind were having a good old time. And then all of a sudden, further into the video, things are cluttered. There's massive amounts of flowers. There's massive picnic tables. It's just cluttered everywhere. And that really stood out to me because I can relate to that feeling as well, where you've just got so much going on up here that you can't make sense of any of it in any given moment. You have to just kind of decompress and really try to focus on one or two things at a time. I think I've said a million times in my videos that something making my brain hurt, that's kind of the point where my brain is so cluttered with things I'm trying to consider at any given moment that it physically starts to hurt. I think the first thing I noticed when the piano started, it might have been slightly off tune, which is fitting for this particular song. Yeah, let's go ahead and go through the lyrics and maybe I can elaborate a little bit on some of this. Your imagination is an awful place. Counter to that, it can be an amazing place. But in some of us, it's mostly awful because you can't stop yourself. Your nervous system has been conditioned because of things you've been through, trauma you've endured. That literally changes your biology and your nervous system. And then your brain follows appropriately. Don't believe in manifestation. Your heart will break. So this chorus is where I've got that conflicting vocal delivery from these two. Matt's sounding more worn and like, I'm just tired of this. And then hers coming in is kind of a calming counterbalance, I guess you'd say, which was both disturbing and soothing at the same time, which is weird. All right, so do you understand your mind is not your friend again? It takes you by the hand and leaves you nowhere. You feel it in your nerves. It's choking out the sun. You try in vain to be persuaded that it's nothing. I mean, this is almost exactly what I had been experiencing. You know, for example, in December, I found out that our hot water heater that's been in the house since we moved in here was splitting at the bottom and was about to burst. There was a hole in the exhaust at the top as well. And I had taken pictures to a contractor to say, hey, this is what we've got going on. I'm almost positive we need a new one. And he replied back very quickly saying that hole is likely exposing you to carbon monoxide. And even though we've been here the entire time, that thing has been the same 6 or 7 years now. And it's in our basement, which we don't go down there a whole lot. I could not stop from making the leap to just immediately envisioning me, Mike, all of my birds, my dogs, not surviving that night, and someone finding us all dead from carbon monoxide poisoning the next day. And that instantly, physically just washes over me and sends me into a panic. And at the time, I was not back in therapy and not treating that part of my anxiety. So I had to deal with that. And I have to say that that was probably the most difficult weekend that I've experienced in a long time. There were other things that happened right before that. You know, Mike had a hip replacement surgery, and the spinal anesthetic they gave him leaked spinal fluid, and he was extremely sick from that, to the point where I ended up taking him to the emergency room, and it took weeks to wear off. I was so incredibly worried, but my mind just jumps to the worst. So that's been gradually getting worse and worse over the course of the last several months. And it just kind of dawned on me one day. I thought back to the day my dad died. And after dealing with his final arrangements, about a month and a half after that, I had to put one of my 19-year-old cat to sleep. So there was that loss, all kinds of other things contributing, you know, and then I just started doing things around my house, rearranging rooms, Uber organization, Uber cleaning. I had to do something all the time. I even went out to my shed where I have stuff from a former life that's been in there for 16 years that I haven't ever gone through. I took 4 days and went through the entire thing and cleaned it all out. I have a hard time sitting still. When I hang out with anybody, or if I'm just sitting doing nothing, I'm probably playing a game on my phone. If I'm not invested in what's ever on the TV, I have to do something on, like, play a game on my phone. I can't deal with social media. I don't do a whole lot of that because that only adds to my anxiety. So mobile games, and then if Mike and I are up here in the studio hanging out, I can't just sit here. Even though there's some amazing music going on, I can't just sit here and stare at the walls. I have to be doing something. So we're either playing backgammon or rummy or something, or I'm cleaning something. It's quite ridiculous when I think about it. It's all the way my nervous system works. It's conditioned to behave this way. So this verse, you feel it in your nerves. It's choking out the sun. You try in vain to be persuaded that it's nothing. Absolutely 100% can relate to that. All right, in the chorus again. Do you understand your mind is not your friend again? It takes you by the hand and leaves you nowhere. You are like a child. You're going to flip your lid again. Do you understand your mind is not your friend? Okay, and then this bridge, which also hit me a little hard. You inherited a fortune, which I am taking to be sarcastic. From your mother's side, your sister didn't get it at all. She survived. I can directly relate to this as well as far as my sister is concerned. However, it's the opposite. We both got some of the stuff from my mother's side. Just it manifested in different ways, which I'm not going to get into, but yeah, we both are going through it in different ways and a lot in similar ways. And there's stuff from my father's side as well that plays a role. But that's a brilliant verse there. Tranquilize the oceans between the poles. You're crawling under rocks and climbing into holes. Yeah, so this speaks to the vast amount of ways and places that your brain can take you. The ocean represents that, in my opinion. And it's from pole to pole, which is an enormous amount of space. And then here you are crawling under rocks and trying to hide in holes from all of that. All right, so it's just the chorus again, and then it goes out, the post-chorus. and then another chorus. This was a brilliant song. I instantly love music like this and songs like this that I can directly relate to. It's almost like this person who wrote this song was living in my shoes, and that in turn helps me realize that I am not the only person on the planet that goes through this. I mean, I know that overall, but it's just so nice to see somebody else who's gone through it and who expresses themselves through song about it. I mean, I wish I had an outlet like that. I wish I could write music and write songs, because I have a lot of stuff that I could write songs about. But for now, my reactions are my outlet for stuff like this, for when I connect to a song personally, and I can talk a little bit about why and bore the living shit out of everybody watching. Yes, Arthur, that was an amazing song. I loved it. I probably should start listening to this band a little more, but as everybody knows, I've been saying it ad nauseum. I have a whole lot of different groups to dive into. It's overwhelming, completely overwhelming at this point. That is a whole nother ocean that I have to navigate. Arthur, thank you so much for putting this in front of me. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for sitting here and listening to me ramble about stuff you probably don't care about. I do appreciate you being here. I'll see you on the next one.